G'day folks, we are back. It's Cortezarino here, coming to you from my single player world. We haven't been here for a while, but yeah, it feels really good to be back here. So over here I've got my Icelandic farmhouse and we're growing, I can't remember what we're growing down there. I think it's like beetroot and carrots and potatoes with a little fishing boat off the other end. And my wheat farm over here, and then way up the back we've got the vineyard and the wine cellar. And I thought, it'd be really good just to fill up this entire valley with farms. Just look, I've got the beginnings of a really neat little farming community, so I think that's what we're going to be doing. And I've begun just over there. It's a bit hard to see from here, but we're going to be doing some interesting stuff over there, so let's head down. So here we are. Now I was thinking that this area just down here, it's a bit low-lying. I don't really feel like building anything in there because it's just going to get obstructed by all these hills around the side. So I'm going to be putting in a lake, which means we need a lake house, and I've already begun putting in the willow trees that will hang into the water. So I haven't done the water yet because it's easier to build the trees without it, but this will be the water's edge where I'm standing now. And I think I've come up with a nice little sort of standard way of beginning the willow trees that makes them look pretty good and pretty easy to build. Alrighty, so what I like to do is I'll start off with just 2 like that. And then I want to step it up 3 more on a diagonal. Okie doke, that's the first bit done. And we'll get rid of this netherrack. And then the second one, I want to start a little bit higher. So we'll start 1 up from there, and then we'll do the same. So from here, I'll bring 1 straight out really low above the water. So I'm going to make 4 little branches coming off this section. And I might bring him up a touch. And we'll go across. I'm just going to fan it out a little bit, just doing random stuff, but keeping it pretty low. Okay, so the next one, I'll go a bit higher and I'll fan him out in the other direction. Okay, now I'll just do 2 more, one of them sort of going straight up and the other one just wherever. So I'm just sort of making this up as I go along from here, once I've got that standard sort of base. That's probably enough. And where do I want the other one? Probably right here. And from there, I've got a thing that I'm doing on the top of each of these branches. I'll put 2 on each side, sticking out. And I'll go up 2 on the top and then 1 on each of these arms, and I'll do the same on each point of these over here. And I'm just using oak leaves at the moment, but I'm using a mixture of oak, acacia, dark oak, not birch because it looks a little different, but you can't tell the difference between these leaves, or at least I can't. And I'm using oak wood for the branches and the trunk. And the good thing about me doing it this same sort of way every time, they do end up looking a little bit different, which is good, which is what I like. But it also gets me this I can really quickly start a tree. Like if I was just making this up from scratch here, I'd be putting things on and tearing it down, like, oh, I don't know if that looks right. But this way I can get the skeleton of the tree up really, really quickly. Alright, and we'll take out all of this netherrack that I've got lying around everywhere. Okay, so there's the bare bones of the willow tree. Now I'm just going to bring the leaves hanging straight down, like in rows, off the edges of these things here. So if I think it could go a bit wider in places, I'll put it on the end of one and just bring him straight down. Or if I think it's gone out far enough, like that one there's probably come out far enough, I will, can't reach it. I might just bring it off there, I might bring it off the sides, it's wherever. Just nice and random from here. And so I'll go around each of these branches, bringing leaves down, and we'll see what it looks like when we've done that. And I'm trying to keep them all at different sort of lengths as well. Oh, that's probably going to be in the water. That's too far. Alright, so I'm just going around the sides here, making sure I haven't left any huge gaps in there. And I think we've covered it all up. So I've come down from those points I mentioned. That was the starting point. And whenever there was a huge gap, I've just filled in a little area. And I've really tried to go have some depth in it. So you see here, these leaves here are like 1, 2, 3 blocks back from the ones out the front. And I think that really adds the detail. See here as well, we've got leaves coming in and out, and I think even more on this side. See, there's another illustration of just putting in the depth. Oh, this one's 1, 2, 3, 4 back from the furthest out. So now I'm just going to throw a few vines around the edges and let them grow, and just revisit it later on to see what they look like, if I want to put some string down to stop them from growing. And I'm just going to put them in randomly. And then we're going to get working on the lake house, which will be a water mill, I think. So we'll have a little river sort of coming down through here and trickling into the lake. And we'll have a big mill wheel here to get turned by the water. And attached to it will be some sort of house. I don't know what yet, but because I was thinking I want to do another vineyard, like a bigger one. So like that down there is good vine growing territory. And I figured if this area up here is so good for wheat, why would one family be monopolising the entire thing? So we're going to have another family down here also growing wheat and doing their own milling, but without a windmill this time, with a water mill. I'm really going to have to find this cave sooner or later. These noises are bugging me. Okay, so I've made a bit of a start. I designed this wheel on creative, and then when I came to build it in survival, I went and changed the entire thing. I think it's just the surroundings that make things look different in survival to creative. Anyway, I changed it because I figured in this community people would build kind of the same way, or maybe even use the same tradesmen to do their building for them. So I figured the same guy who built this windmill would probably be hired to build that wheel over there as well. So I've kept it in his style of build. So I may change it later. Like it's very similar. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I've used jungle wood here because I figured this may be what oak wood looks like after it's had too much exposure to water. And yeah, I'm just playing around with materials. I've started putting oak in there for the walls, but I'm not sure that I'll stay with that. So materials wise, I'm thinking the windmill's got a lot of clay. I've used black stained clay in that house over there, so this house needs some clay, I think, just to stay in the theme of the building materials used in this village. So I'm going to get away from this these noisy caves and see what I've got in my clay chest. I thought the clay looked alright, but it's looking a little funky now. Let's head back up, and I'm doing lines of spruce for some reason here. Actually, yeah, the clay looks okay down the bottom. I think it was just up the top it doesn't look real flash. So yeah, maybe we will incorporate it, but just around the bottom edges. So that bit there is probably a bit too high. And we'll put some oak in there. Yeah, just around the bottom should look good. And I'm thinking as soon as I add some leaves, what's that look like? Yeah, okay. I think I'm happy with the colours for the roof here. Yep. Yeah, that'll be good. Just want to try something really quickly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Ah, gosh. Get away. It's interesting. We might come back to that. Alright, the walls. Let's experiment on this side where I can see the roof. So let's try wool on one, and we'll give the green clay a go as well. So we'll just see what this looks like. Oh, it's not bad. It's very white. It's very white. Okay. I may like this. I just might. Or not. Try something completely different. What do you look like? That is probably the way to go, I think. Yeah, just good old stone. So I'll have like a cobblestone sort of base around the bottom, and then probably stone on top. And if I throw windows in here, then it's not just going to look like a plain old wall. Let me out, dude. Okay, windows are probably the way to go. I think I'm happy with the roof. Yes, the roof is what we're going to go for. So I will just start figuring out what kind of shape I want this house to be. And I have to be a little bit careful about going too big, because if it's too large, then that house over there may have to be changed, because it is really, really tiny. And a big house on the other side will just make it look stupid. And so, you know what, I'll probably have to expand this anyway. It doesn't look quite right. Just a bit small. Don't know. But this is huge, so maybe I can do something pretty big. So I've made a little bit of progress. I did end up using the green clay in there just to get some clay into the build. And I dropped the roof down by one block. It was just looking a bit too ornate for a farmhouse, but I'm thinking about changing the color of this wheel, because something about this side of the house just looks a little bit bland. But if we pop around to this side, this is my favorite view of the house. Like, this side really pops, and I think it's because of the bold colors of the wheat. Whereas this jungle wood, there's nothing bold about it. So I'm thinking maybe a dark oak wood would be the way to go, and that would just make it stand out a bit more. So I've put a little river in, and we've got the lake. Oh, so much water. This took a while. There's no funny editing in this. I went round with the buckets. Ice might have been a better idea, like placing ice and then breaking it, but went around with the buckets, and it looks a little unusual. So first of all, the grass is still under there. I guess that's going to disappear eventually. But the lake just turned out way larger than I had sort of imagined it. So it's kind of like a big old empty space. I may have to dig down a little bit and decorate the shores a bit more and maybe do a bit of terraforming, and I think bring the land out around here a little more. So I don't know, I'm even considering continuing the a river all the way down here and joining all of this up, because then I can have a cool little bridge coming out of my base and sending that all the way to the ocean. And I think that house just, it kind of looks like it's sitting on top of the water, which isn't really what I want, so I think I'll extend the jetty as well and just do a bit more building around this area. But yeah, the house has come up all right. I mean, it's not too bad. I can't get up there. Not too bad for a guy who doesn't really build houses. Not a lot. Well, not a lot. Nothing on the inside. I'm going to have to figure out what the mechanics are for these wheels. But yeah, we're making progress. So now, to make the build come alive, I need to do a lot of detailing, like around this side. That looks pretty good, but all this, it's just bare grass at the moment, so we're going to have to detail all of this. I'll probably throw a few more leaves on the roofs and a few more details like the little flower pots. And, the bit I'm not looking forward to, and we might not complete in this episode, these guys are going to need their own wheat farm. So, yeah, that'll be fun. So, anyway, more work to do, and I'll check back in later on. Alright guys, I think we're done. I did end up doing the wheat field, and I've gone for a stone fence, a cobblestone fence, just to distinguish it from the other wheat field on that side. Let's head on up. Just got a little path and a little bridge, and I think it's looking alright. It's a little bit overgrown. These guys don't have as much money as the fellas up there, so they don't really do much gardening or employ anyone to do their gardening, I guess. And I've extended the jetty around here and built up some ground around there so the house doesn't look like it's floating on the water anymore. Inside I've done a little bit. Well, I've finished it. I've finished it as much as I'm going to finish it. So I figured these pistons kind of look like cog wheels. So here's the millstone, and you can feed your grain in there. And down the bottom I've got the little chute for the grain to pop out. And a little bedroom upstairs here. Looks alright. One thing I notice about this build though, mixing all the different materials together, it doesn't really stand out as much as these ones over here, where it's just big bold colours in blocks. Like, this is probably more realistic, but yeah, it just doesn't seem to pop as much as the one out there. Or maybe it would with the texture pack. Yeah, certainly does with the texture pack. This is the faithful one. I don't use it, even though like it's got a lot of cool things about it. Like, and I know a lot of people use it, but I just find the blocks don't bleed together as well as they do with just the default texture pack. So this path here just looks a bit weird, you know. But yeah, it certainly does stand out a bit better. Let's just have a quick look around. I'm curious to see. Wow, this is very neat looking, but yeah, I can see why it appeals to people, but it just doesn't look as realistic as the default texture pack. And I also noticed the first time I tried this, I went to my wine cellar and it just killed the path blocks. Let's head over there. Well, it's not as bad as I remember, but it's it still looks good, the old wine cellar, I guess. But it's I think I still prefer the default texture pack. Okay guys, thanks for watching. We're one step closer here to a nice little farming community, although I think for next time I better get to work on the castle. Having a door in the side of a hill for a base is not a good look. So cheers from me, I'm Cortez Reno. See you later.